Hi there. Welcome to another episode of Deez Recovery Journey, episode 7. And I want to thank you for following all the previous episodes where I've been able to take you through my journey in alcoholism. My name is Daniel Orenge, and I am a recovering alcoholic. I found myself stuck in addiction for about 10 to 12 years. That's a huge chunk of my youthful living. And as I've mentioned in previous episodes, it all started by thinking we are having fun. And little did I know that I'd find myself in an addictive cycle. And as I've done in previous episodes, kindly allow me just to share who an alcoholic is. Because some of you may not understand who that is, and you might think that an alcoholic is just somebody who is fond of taking the bottle. And that's not the case. So, an alcoholic is somebody whose genetic buildup allows him to easily get into an addiction cycle once he's exposed to alcohol. So he's genetically predisposed to get addicted to using alcohol. And how that happens is the body normally releases dopamine, to various things, to various substances. Like when you eat, you get happy. When a joke is done, you get happy. But now when you introduce alcohol, it tampers with that. And your body starts to identify with alcohol as what produces your happy hormone. Little do you know that you think you're just having fun, and before you know it, you're stuck in a cycle. You find yourself drinking more than everyone. When everybody has had enough, you can't stop. And I found myself in that, but I didn't know that I'm an alcoholic. And that's why I'm busy making these videos. So I can give hope to somebody who is in addiction. I can give hope to somebody who has a family member, because it's better for you to understand what this is. And then from there, you're able to help this person rather than judging them and thinking that they just are up to mischief and they're just indisciplined. And that's not the case. They are sick. Great. So I had mentioned that for very many years, alcohol had attempts on my life. I went to hospital severally. I was in HDU, admitted. But I'm a man of faith, and I thank God for my parents who introduced the faith to me at a young age. But through my addiction is when I got to know God more. So over time, the incidences of me going to hospital became less severe. But I'd still find myself having to go to hospital for a drip so they can remove all the alcohol. Because one thing about alcoholism is that your body doesn't know when to have enough. You find yourself drinking and drinking and drinking. When everybody else has said that they have had enough, you don't know. So you go on and you only realize the damage you did tomorrow. And that time the hangover is bad. You can't eat. You can't work. You're nauseated. You're sick, and all your body needs is another drink. And nobody understood that. Even I didn't understand it. But I justified it, because I didn't know what else to think about it. I didn't really understand what alcoholism is. And now I do. So, the aim of this particular episode is to show you how I was able to make a choice to get help. But through my addiction cycle, there are times, I used to try and cope because I needed to work. I have a family. And so how I used to cope is that I used to engage in using cat. I used to chew the popular mogoka because it was easier. The thing about it is that it would suppress the need to want to have a drink. So I would chew almost every day. So it would suppress it. It would, it's like coffee. It would make you changamuka. That's what Kenyans would call it. You'd changamuka, you'd become alert, and you'd be able to function. At the end of the day, you'd pull out your dopamine hormone. You'd feel good about yourself. You think you're an intellectual. And in the evening when I'd get home, I'd have a bit of a drink, but I'd also smoke marijuana. So I can get high because alcohol stopped getting me high. I was so immune. I was so adapted to it. So imagine doing that every day. You'd get sick, you'd get tired. And the nature of my work used to allow me to hide my problem. Though at the beginning of the time I got this job for a fintech. Allow me not to say its name in this video. My boss noticed I have a problem and he asked me, Daniel, do you have a problem? And I denied it. So I worked with them for many years. I even got a promotion, and then COVID came. And then now COVID now allowed us to hide. And we went into the bottle. I say we because I spoke to many guys in rehab and they said COVID heightened addiction for many people. So as COVID slowly started ending, and we went back to work, I remember in December 2020, not even December, it was November, it started becoming a bit obvious that Daniel has a drinking problem where I was working. And I had asked for leave. So I was granted leave. But I was heading the sales team at that particular time. So as I got leave, I went out there, and during such seasons as you're heading into Christmas, alcoholics tend to camouflage in all that's going on because everybody's drinking and it's okay now to drink. So you get comforted that you're drinking with people, but you have a problem. So in November, so my boss now asked me, Daniel, I need you back at work. And I was like, what? And that time the drink had taken over. So there's a particular night, I had overdrunk, and my wife was worried because we didn't have a house help. So she called my mom and she said, Daniel is very drunk and I'm concerned. I can't handle him in case at night he has an episode and he needs to go to hospital. So my mom told her to tell him to come home, tell Daniel to come home. So my wife lied to me that my mom is in trouble and that there are people at home who are harassing her. And I'm very protective about my mom. So I got into a cab very drunk and I went home. This time my brother and his family had come from the UK, as they normally try to do for Christmas. And they had seen me in this alcoholism and they were really worried, and they've been praying for me for very long. And many people have been praying for me for very long, and God has answered your prayers. Thank you very much. So when I got home, I don't remember. I think I blacked out. And when I woke up in the morning, I was just shaking, and all I needed was another drink. Badly. There were times when I would manage it with the chewing. So I'd wake up in the morning, just have coffee, and I'm good. But when I would overdrink it, when I don't chew, you'd find yourself, it was a balance. Either you're chewing or you're not. When you're not, you overdrink. I'm telling you, it was crazy. So when I woke up, I was trying to run to get out of the house without being seen. My mom saw me and she followed me to the gate. And I was so annoyed. I'm like, why is she following me? And I need to get a drink. So as she came to try and stop me from getting out, I pushed the gate and my mom fell down. And I remember turning back and I was like, what the hell have I done? What the hell have I done? So my mom's workers came, they tried to hold me, but I wrestled them off. You're a madman at that time. Your body needs a drink. And my brother tried following me. He saw me clenching my fists. And he just let me be. He said, what do you want, Daniel? And I told him, take me home. And they took me home. And I got out of the house and I went looking for a drink. Because that time the body just needs another drink. Withdrawals are bad. And that's why I sympathize and I empathize with alcoholics out there. So I was meant to go to work the following day and I didn't go. And my boss had been trying to reach out to me because he knew that this alcohol had taken over again. So he got so angry because he had to go and do what I was meant to do. And he told me, he remember that day on the phone, he really called me and he was angry and I knew hapa kuna shida. So he told me to see him the following day. And I tried to sober up. And what was sobering up? Go and chew. Because when I would chew, I'd drink a lot of water and the body would wash out the alcohol. But it was a very painful process. It was not fun as I thought it was. So the following day, I went to see him. And when I went to the office, I admitted that I have a problem. My sister had told me on phone I should try rehab. save the money I have, pay for rehab, and I was thinking about it. And so when I told my boss that I have a problem, he listened to me and he told me, Daniel, as a friend, go get help. But as a boss, you're fired. He told me, if you go get help, rehab or something, 3 months, come with evidence, we will consider taking you back. My heart sank because I have a child who was in PP1, going to PP2, and I had another one who was just joining school. And I had flashbacks of how much this alcohol has stolen from me. He told me, Daniel, take this positively. As I left the office that day, and I got my dismissal letter. But as I walked to the stage, I reflected on how much this alcohol has taken from me. How many jobs I have lost, how many phones I have lost, how many friendships I have missed. My family is tired, stressed. I thought about all that, and I thought about Danny. You were built for greater, you were created for greater things. And that's when I made up my mind to get help. We all get to that junction and we all have to choose. And I chose. I pray that if you're there and you're stuck in an addictive cycle, you can drop me a DM and I can show you avenues in which you can use to get help. Unfortunately, that we cannot all go to rehab because we have commitments, but there's avenues where you can get help and you'll get to realize that there's a community of people who have been in an addiction cycle and have got to understand what it is and are getting help and are now getting out. Thank you yet again for listening to my long episode of my recovery journey. In the next episode, I will tell you about the steps I took so I can understand what rehab is before I went in. And I'll be able to tell you what goes on inside a rehab center and why it's not what you think it is. It's actually a good place where people can get help, and men and women can find a community where they can know they are not alone and be able to get the relevant help, apply a program called the 12 Steps Program. I'll be able to share more coming soon in the next episode. But besides that, I wish you all a fantastic day.